This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned.
I'm talking
Arkansas
Bill King
operated.
from Nashville
Go
Sports Radio, the
Pascal.com.
king of college football talk, and talk a whole lot of other stuff as well. Bill, how you doing on this Wednesday?
Hey, guys. Doing well.
Good, man. Let's talk UConn National Championship here. They now have as many national titles in basketball, 5, in the last 24 years, as Alabama has national football championships. Now, admittedly, it's in a shorter window for Alabama, but I think it's just as impressive because, man, you got to get hot at the right time. It's tough to get hot at the right time. 3 different coaches taking them to a national championship, and right now there's no other school in college basketball that has had more success in the last quarter century than UConn.
Couldn't remember the coach before. It was Kevin Ollie. The audience had to tell me. I forgot his name, but yeah, man. I mean, they're doing it with 3 different coaches, and they were a 4 seed. They were hot from the beginning, and I didn't take note until the Final Four. So I missed the wave.
I missed it too. I wonder, maybe it's not a matter of like what is more impressive and what's less impressive, because it's totally different things here. In college basketball, it's like you said, if you make it into the tournament and you get hot at the right time, and I think UConn had been hot for about a month before they laid waste to everybody in the tournament, well, then anybody, the thought is there's maybe a couple dozen teams that could win the championship. In football, it's not a matter of when you get hot. You got to start hot and stay hot and win your regular season games and then make it into the Final Four. So it's 2 totally different things that we're looking at here.
FAU, their equivalent in football, can get hot all they want. They're not going to be on the field with Georgia very long.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The mid majors don't hang with the top level of Power 5 when it comes right down to that. So,
so what do you think, Phil, is some of that these mid majors have veteran players now, where these blue bloods, so to speak, and they get the 5-star freshmen, and then you have a guy that's been in an off-season program for 3 years at these mid majors. They kind of got a little toughness to them.
Well, you also look at the
and Johnny 5-star, his whole life has dominated the AAU circuit, and he's a freshman, and everybody's patting him on the back. And then you get into the tournament, and if you lose, it's over. And you hadn't been there before. As good as you are, you're a much better player than the guy whipping you who's 22 when you're 18. But at night, you're not ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that absolutely can happen.
That's that NBA going to the NBA draft is still. I still just don't understand it. They'll draft a kid and say, "I know you're not going to play for 3 years," but they'll draft him and he'll G League it and try to get ready. But they're not ready for a couple years.
Oh yeah, no, that's customary and probably not ever going to change.
Well, I mean, just look at when it comes time for the draft. In the NFL draft, I mean, usually your Heisman winner, all your other award winners, they're right there, the first round or, close enough to it. In basketball, Oscar Tshiebwe from last year, the top player in the country, he's not even in any of the mock drafts for this year.
Yeah.
Not the first.
I think I only saw one UConn player in a mock draft. Now I got to look at another one, but yeah.
Zach Edey, the big 7'4" center from Purdue, he's like a marginal, maybe second-round pick. He could go through the draft without being selected. You never say that about the top players in college football. Like there's every once in a while a couple guys that are like that, but when you succeed in college football, they're looking at you for the next level in the NFL. It's not always like that in basketball, and I guess it's also because the next level in basketball, Bill, can be Europe, can be playing in South America. So it's a totally different conversation.
Let me also give you, if somebody put out a 24 mock draft, Kentucky's recruiting class would probably have 4 guys in it. First round.
Yeah.
Well, look at Arkansas right now. Bill, Arkansas, Nick Smith.
There's 2 for sure. There's 2
for sure.
Correct.
That's Nick Smith. That's Anthony Black. Black, we still haven't gotten an announcement from. Ricky Council announced for the draft yesterday. Some mock
we
drafts
went 8 and 10.
Have him in 30th. So that's 3 players from Arkansas in the first round. Nobody else has 3. Maybe the Ignite team in the G League or Overtime Elite, but nobody else does. And Arkansas, was an 8 seed and finished 8 and 10 in the SEC.
I sat there that night and watched them play Mississippi State at home and lose, and that's when I kind of lost. I lost faith that night. I lost my religion in Arkansas that night.
That was a bad look. Yeah, they kind of got outbeat the entire game. That game, everywhere. Yeah.
What do we? We were talking some recruiting in the last segment. Someone had brought up the idea of Kane Archer. Have you heard of this kid? You probably have because you're the king of college football talk, especially when it comes to recruiting. He's a rising sophomore from Greenwood, Arkansas, getting offers from all over the place. I saw a little interview that he had talking about Coach Heupel in Tennessee. So I think he's high on Tennessee as well, but he's only a sophomore.
2026, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this people are wondering about. Some people thought they saw that he wasn't very high on Sam Pittman. I saw some things he said where it seems like he's just fine about Sam Pittman. Arkansas is one of those states, though, where it's like you'll always hear we got to build a fence around the state, but they didn't get
right.
Walker White. Walker White committed to Auburn. Is it a must thing? Do you have to get the top player from your state when you are a state like Arkansas, which is, so smaller compared to all the other schools that you're playing against, mostly?
You don't have to, but you better. Does that make sense? I mean, if you have the kind of brand who can go out, for example, Georgia is loaded. That state has more players than you could fill 100 teams for, right?
Mm-hmm.
They take a bunch of guys out of state. I mean, and everything you need is within 2 or 3 hours from that campus. They go. Brock Bowers is from Napa Valley, right? A lot of their good kids are from Florida. So they some years they'll take 10 in-state kids. There's 200 of them in that state, and some years they'll take 4 or 5. So it depends on your brand muscle, right? How strong you are, and Arkansas has not been very strong. It used to be back in the old Southwest Conference days, Arkansas could go into Texas. That's really not the case anymore when it comes to feature players that are going to be dominant, not as much as 30 years ago. And so, yeah, you need to get the better players. Maybe it's 5 to 8 a year or something, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the thing is, Arkansas only has 8 Division I football players a year on average, so you got to get them. Where Georgia has, 200. So that's
unlimited.
Yeah,
no question.
But is it with Kane Archer? Is it just going to be like the Archie Manning thing, where it's just going to the going rate's $4 million a year for a starting quarterback when you're the number 1 quarterback in your class, and it's just like it's not, because with my time it was more about relationships. It was like, man, I liked my quarterback coach, I like Coach Nutt. Where now I don't know, is it still that way about relationships, or is it just kind of like who's paying me the most money?
Well, it is until money supersedes it, right? I mean, relationships are very important, but there's a number everybody probably has in their mind. If you're on that level,
right,
where it doesn't really matter about the relationship at this point with that money, sorry, love you, we can be buddies later, but I'm going over here for the money. Just defend. Now, again, I do think a lot of that stuff's inflated because it's in their best interest to have the money inflated. I think a lot of that was a big lie as far as the number. For example, Nico, nobody's ever acknowledged for sure if this freshman at Tennessee, Nico Iamaleava, is actually getting $8 million. We know he's getting probably a bunch. I don't think it's $8 million. And they tried to ask him about it, which he can't. And he says next question, which I don't blame him.
Mm-hmm.
But so we don't really, guys, I don't know when we're going to know what the market is. But I hope that kid obviously is going to command, good money. There's no doubt.
Do players know what the market is? Because like all of these deals are made, it's like, for lack of a better term, dark money. It's like political contributions that you don't know where they're coming from.
Correct.
You just know that somebody's making something and it's coming from somewhere. Do the athletes even really have an idea of what the market rate is for their position, or are they're just putting a number out there and saying meet this number?
I don't think so. I don't know how a 17, 18-year-old kid who's got no clue as to what this planet Earth's about, right, other than they're very good at the sport, would know what the market value is. Now, I'm sure they've got people telling them this and inflating the number and getting their hopes up. But no, they've got no clue as to what the number should be. No idea.
See, that's the thing. It's like when you look at professional sports, and they have collective bargaining agreements.
You got a union, yeah.
They have a union, and therefore you know what everybody is signing for. You know what the market rate is. There's no dark money in that case. You know, and that I think that's one of the things about NIL and maybe it is the overarching aspect about NIL that needs to be fixed is the idea of, well, if you shine a little light on the money that's being thrown out there, and I know, the whole idea of pay for play is a side thing here, but if you know what the money is that everybody's making, then we can all sort of coalesce around something that's a going market rate, which is supposed to be what American economics are all about.
It depends on where you are in the food chain. If I'm a superpower, I don't want that stuff out there. I want it dark money everywhere, right? I mean, that's to our advantage. I don't want to equal the playing field. Why? I own it right now, right? I'm at the top of it. I don't know if we'll ever get some kind of, at least in the near future, some kind of uniformity or transparency. I don't think we're heading in that direction for now. I just don't.
One other thing I wanted to ask when pertaining to quarterback recruiting and everything that goes into it, and specifically about Dan Enos. Because the first thing Enos did when he was hired apparently was go to recruit Walker White. By that time, it might have been too little, too late. With Kane Archer, maybe that's a different situation. He's got the track record of helping quarterbacks just improve automatically, and I think we're expecting to see an improvement with KJ Jefferson. Your understanding of Dan Enos as a quarterback recruiter.
It will come down to this year's, well, not just, but this year's presentation is very important. They need to look well-coached and in sync offensively. And they need to look balanced. They need to do the things they like to do. Obviously, you've got the quarterback to do it. He needs to be consistent. He needs to be healthy. Obviously, that was a problem. To me, that is a big part of what will come down to the attractiveness. If they're sputtering around and all the enemies are not, and it's just happy times, it's going to be tough. I don't care who the guy is. It could be the world's greatest recruiter. They need to look well coached and in sync offensively. That's what that kid, he's going to get money.
Yeah,
the money's there, whatever it might be. But he's got to think, okay, I go there, I'm getting coached up, and not only that, but we're going to be successful with it.
And here's an example of somebody where this
got to have a chance to be in that final 12, because by the time he gets there, that's probably what it'll be, because you want to play for a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
True.
No doubt.
Hey, Bill, before we let you go, earlier in the show, I talked more golf than I've ever talked in my life because of the Masters.
Sounded good.
I faked it pretty well. Do you do any golf talk? Because with you, we talk college football, college basketball, a little bit of college baseball, some food, some grilling, life topics. Do you ever talk golf?
No, except I was looking at DraftKings, and I threw it out on the air because I wanted some of the golf aficionados to give me some advice. And that was, there's just a whole section where you can only bet Tiger. I mean, you can bet all across the Masters, right, whatever you want, but there's a section just for Tiger. And one of them was, do you think he makes the cut? And so I was asking everybody. I've got buddies there watching him on the practice tee saying that he looks all messed up. Doesn't look happy, acting like it's his last time, and he's hacking the ball around. So I wanted to bet he's going to make the cut. After that, I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
All right.
Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts.